The first time Karen came knocking on my door, she didn't even bother with a hello. She jabbed her manicured finger toward the community parking lot like she was directing air traffic at LAX. "That Corolla of yours needs to move," she said, her voice sharp and impatient. I blinked. "Move, where?" "Anywhere but there," she snapped. "This is a premium community. Your economy car is parked directly across from my Porsche. Do you have any idea what could happen if the wind shifted? Or someone flung a pebble?" I tilted my head, trying to understand if she was serious. "The wind. A pebble. It's a parking lot, Karen." Her lips pursed like she'd just sucked on a lemon. "This neighborhood has standards. My Porsche is valued at $95,000. I don't think your little Toyota is worth a tenth of that. The HOA rules clearly state that vehicles should be parked in a manner that doesn't affect the aesthetic of the neighborhood." I stifled a laugh. Pretty sure my Corolla being parked in a designated parking space isn't hurting the neighborhood's aesthetic. Karen's eyes flashed. "If you don't move it, I'll take it up with the board." They listened to me. I crossed my arms, leaning against my doorframe. "You do that. And while you're at it, tell them my Corolla could move. And maybe they'll tell you your Porsche could fly." Her jaw dropped. She sputtered for a moment, clearly unused to anyone challenging her royal decrees. "Excuse me." "You heard me," I said with a shrug. "If we're making up physics, then let's go all the way. My Corolla could move straight into orbit. And your Porsche? Maybe it could sprout wings and soar over the HOA board meeting." For a second, Karen's expression wavered. Then she narrowed her eyes. "Sarcasm doesn't look good on you. I'll be filing a formal complaint." With that, she spun on her heels and stomped off toward her garage, her designer sandals smacking against the pavement. I watched her disappear, shaking my head. The thing about Karen was that she wasn't just a neighbor, she was the self-appointed sheriff of our cul-de-sac. Every week, she found some new grievance. Trash bins visible for more than 10 minutes after pickup. Lawns not cut at precisely the right angle. Someone's kid leaving chalk drawings on the sidewalk. And now, apparently, the crime of the century was daring to park my Corolla within eyesight of her German luxury beast. Little did she know, this was just the beginning. Because when Karen filed her formal complaint, I decided to file something of my own. A little experiment in how far I could push the limits of her patience and her beloved Porsche's supposed flight capabilities. The HOA meetings were usually dull affairs. A dozen neighbors slumped in folding chairs, while the board droned on about landscaping budgets and mailbox paint colors. But tonight promised fireworks. Karen marched into the clubhouse like she was storming Capitol Hill. She clutched a stack of papers, her so-called formal complaint, and waved them in the air before the meeting even started. "Excuse me, everyone," she announced, cutting off the board president mid-sentence. "I need to bring up a serious issue that threatens the harmony of our neighborhood." Groans rippled through the room. People already knew where this was going. She slapped her complaint down on the table with a flourish. "This," she jabbed at the paper, "is a record of my neighbor deliberately parking his Toyota Corolla in a way that diminishes the property value of my Porsche. It's harassment by aesthetics." The board president, Mr. Thompson, rubbed his temples. "Karen, with all due respect, cars in designated spots are not violations. Unless there's oil leakage, noise, or unregistered vehicles." Oil leakage. Noise. That's not the point. Karen practically screeched. "The point is that I pay HOA fees like everyone else. And my investment is at risk because of him." All eyes turned to me. I sat calmly in the second row, arms crossed, wearing the faintest smile. "Would you like to respond?" Mr. Thompson asked. "Sure," I said, standing up. Karen's worried that my Corolla might. What? Breathe on her Porsche. Cast a shadow over its shiny paint. I park in my assigned space, just like everyone else. And when she told me my Corolla couldn't move, I said her Porsche could fly. Because that's about as realistic as the complaint she's making. Snickers erupted across the room. A few neighbors actually clapped. Karen turned scarlet. This is not a joke. Oh, but it is, I countered. A $95,000 car with wings. That's comedy gold. If Karen wants to rewrite the HOA bylaws to include air traffic regulations, then maybe we should all invest in parachutes. Laughter filled the room. Even Mr. Thompson cracked a smile before clearing his throat. All right. Let's stay civil. The board finds no violation here. Case closed. Karen's jaw clenched so hard I thought her veneers might crack. She gathered her papers with trembling hands, muttering something about standards slipping and uncultured neighbors. But as the meeting adjourned, I caught her glare. She wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. And neither was I. Because if Karen wanted to play games, then I had just decided to up the stakes. It started with a joke. A single Photoshop image I whipped up one night after scrolling through memes. Her Porsche 911. Complete with cartoon wings and a jet engine strapped to the back. Caption: breaking news. Porsche achieves liftoff thanks to HOA-approved aerodynamics. I shared it in the neighborhood group chat, figuring it would get a chuckle or two. Instead, it went viral, at least locally. Within hours, half the street had shared it. People made their own edits, the Porsche flying over stop signs. The Porsche dodging birds. The Porsche landing on the HOA clubhouse roof. Karen was furious. She stormed up to me the next morning. Her phone clutched like evidence in a courtroom. Take it down. Now. Can't, I said casually, sipping my coffee on the porch. The internet already took flight. Kind of like your Porsche. Her face turned crimson. This is defamation. Nope, I corrected. Parody. Protected by the First Amendment. Besides, you wanted to make my Corolla move, right? So I just helped your Porsche move, too, upward. Neighbors walking their dogs tried, and failed, to suppress laughter. Karen noticed and whirled on them. This isn't funny. He's humiliating me. But the damage was done. Every time Karen drove past, kids on bikes flapped their arms like wings and shouted, "Take off. Take off." Adults waved mock air traffic control paddles. Someone even taped a paper airplane to her garage door. The HOA board tried to intervene, but by then it was too late. The meme had become community lore. Karen's Porsche wasn't a car anymore, it was a legend. A running gag, a symbol of her own inflated self-importance. Still, Karen wasn't one to back down. She doubled her efforts. Filing new complaints weekly, noise violations for kids laughing too loud. Parking encroachment, if someone's tire was 2 inches over a line. Even demanding mandatory car covers for unsightly vehicles. But all she achieved was alienating the neighborhood further. The more she lashed out, the more creative the memes became. My Corolla was now drawn as a humble spacecraft, floating peacefully while her Porsche buzzed angrily around it. And for once, the community was united, against her. I thought that would be the end of it. But Karen was like a storm that refused to blow over. And when storms can't win, they escalate. By autumn, Karen had turned her garage into a shrine to her Porsche. She installed floodlights, motion sensors. Even a velvet rope barrier like it was a museum exhibit. Every time someone walked by, she rushed out to check for tampering. But then came the night of the neighborhood block party. The whole street was buzzing with barbecues, music, and lawn chairs lining the cul-de-sac. For once, everyone was relaxed. Even Karen showed up, though she stood off to the side, sipping wine like she was judging a talent show. That's when the surprise appeared. A group of neighbors wheeled out a massive contraption they'd been building in secret. At first, it looked like a float, cardboard wings strapped to a frame, painted silver with duct-taped details. But as it rolled closer, I realized what it was, a full-scale replica of Karen's Porsche, complete with giant paper wings. The crowd erupted in cheers. Someone hit play on a speaker, blasting the Top Gun theme. Kids ran around in aviator sunglasses, shouting, "Clear for takeoff." Karen's jaw practically hit the pavement. "What is this?" she shrieked. "It's your Porsche," one neighbor said with a grin. "The flying edition." I stepped forward, holding a toy pilot's helmet. "See, Karen. Dreams really do take flight." The replica was wheeled to the center of the cul-de-sac, where neighbors had rigged a leaf blower to simulate jet exhaust. The wings wobbled dramatically. The crowd counted down. 3, 2, 1. Lift OFF. The leaf blower roared, kids flapped their arms. And two guys pushed the replica forward. It rolled a few feet before tipping sideways onto someone's lawn. Everyone burst into laughter. Everyone except Karen. "This is harassment," she screamed, clutching her wine glass. "You people are mocking me. This community is supposed to have standards." "Yeah," someone muttered, "standard fun." The party carried on without her. She stormed off, retreating into her fortress of a garage, no doubt drafting her next complaint. But for the rest of us, that night sealed the legend. The Corolla might have been plain, but it had sparked a revolution. And the Porsche? It would forever be remembered not as a status symbol, but as the car that tried, and failed, to fly. As I sat back in my lawn chair, watching fireworks crackle overhead, I couldn't help but smile. Karen had wanted my Corolla gone. Instead, she'd given it wings. And in the end, the whole neighborhood decided it wasn't her Porsche that soared, it was our laughter.